welcome to Mock the Week. I'm Briain. Joining this week are Darren Harriott, Catherine Bohart and Ed Byrne, Felicity Ward, Hugh and Rhys James. We start tonight with a round called Picture of the Week. I show the panel a topical image and ask them to tell me what's happening. So what's going on here?
That's the most focused I've ever seen Boris before. He must be looking at a tiny version of Tinder.
Is Boris saying, and you're saying this counts as one free school meal?
He's probably going, look at this, Richie. This is a piece of the wallpaper I can actually afford.
If we're really going to go political, is he looking for something interesting about Keir Starmer?
Well, excellent balancing work there, Ed Byrne.
If I was saying, I'm confused, I shook it, but I still can't see her boobs.
But I was thinking, he's going, so is this like a telescope for poor people?
Is he reading the use-by date on that pack of condoms he's never opened?
Oh, look, it's Petri Patel. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I won't apologise.
Is he saying if you magnify it 300 times, you can see the Labour vote in Hartlepool?
Is it a picture from a school prospectus where all the kids have a really horrible ageing disease?
It is, by the way, like every school prospectus picture ever, yeah.
He's going, so what am I looking at? The economy.
I found the Indian variant. What did you call me?
Rishi actually bought Boris Johnson the Dara O'Brien microscope for big boys.
Does anyone else have an answer to that?
This is Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak at a lab.
Indeed, it is. Absolutely right. Thank you very much, Hugh. Yes, of course. This is a recent picture of Boris Johnson and Chancellor Rishi Sunak in a week during which Boris Johnson urged caution as lockdown restrictions in England were relaxed. Now, what could disrupt the next stage of lockdown easing on the 21st of June?
Oh, the Indian variant.
The Indian variant, yes.
The Indian variant does sound a bit like the Bollywood version of the Bourne Identity.
The thing is that they left... There was no travel restrictions from India for ages. They've sort of, they've shut it up now. It's a bit late.
Yeah.
Sort of locking the stable door after the horse is in Bolton.
I don't trust lockdown ending. I look at the government's attitude towards lockdown the same way I look at the end of a Marvel film. Like, just because they're telling us it's over doesn't always mean it's over. There might be a post-credit lockdown at any minute.
It does feel like Boris has just walked away from a bad guy he thinks he's killed.
Yeah.
The camera's gone back to an Indian variant, just opening one. The first lockdown, I was being so careful, happy birthday twice, just always washing my hands, nowhere near anyone, wearing my mask. The last lockdown, I was just like, oh, I wonder if my drug dealer does haircut.
You don't have a drug. Name 2 drugs.
OK.
Calpol.
Calpol.
That's the first one.
Calpol, yeah.
You're right. As it turns out...
Junior aspirin.
He wasn't a drug dealer per se, but I do have extra oregano, if anyone...
OK.
Who have we sent into Bolton?
The army.
The army have got to be, yeah.
I don't know.
You're helping a child with his homework. And who have we sent into Bolton? The army. That's right, Hugh. The army. What did the army do?
I've been homeschooling. I've done nothing but homeschooling for a year and a half, all right? So this is the tone I take in every conversation.
They've got the army into Bolton, but I'm not so sure. I don't want to be swabbed by someone who's also been trained to use a bayonet.
I do like the fact they've got a vaccine bus. It sounds like the sort of thing you'd buy on Groupon. It's like a nice day out.
I'm actually half vaccinated, but only on my mother's side.
To be fair, the PM did say that if it was more transmissible, the Indian variant, then we would have hard decisions to make. I just didn't realise it would be, who do we vaccinate? Who do we shoot? It's very intense. It's a big call.
I'm hopeful, though, aren't you? I'm hopeful. I think we'll, you know, I've got a sense of freedom that I didn't have before. It is, admittedly, the kind of freedom, the sense of freedom that you get when you're on the run.
The way they're trying to rush through this vaccine, though, before like we get completely done over by the Indian variant, does feel like a teacher just come in saying, Ofsted are going to be here in 25 minutes.
It's like 15 facts about rivers. Remember the names of the rivers, OK? Hugh, I'm going to ask you about a river. You say a river name to me, OK? So who is being vaccinated in Bolton?
Teenagers.
Yes, teenagers, in an interesting development. Why teenagers?
Well, I mean, if they really want to stop teenagers spreading the virus, just give them PS5s and ketamine.
I know a drug dealer who can get them something close to ketamine.
I'm worried that there's going to be a shortage of vaccinations because we're rushing this through. And you know what happens then? There's going to be street jabs. You know, you think you're getting the full Pfizer, but it's actually cut with measles, mumps and rubella.
It is a bit mad, isn't it? There are people who won't take this vaccine because they think it's been a bit rushed, but they will happily watch this show.
They've got AstraZeneca, they've got Moderna and they've got Pfizer. And I know they're all vaccines, but they could easily be the names of tampons. So easily. You think about it, Moderna making you immune to period pain. I'd buy that. Wouldn't you?
I wouldn't know. Why would I buy that?
They could be the names of tampons. They could also be the names of Elon Musk's children.
They obviously would, the vaccines would never be the same as tampons because vaccines are being given away for free.
Well, Felicity, I do know a dealer who can get you something close to tampons.
Reece, you've never seen a vagina in your life.
Not for 30 years.
OK, we are easing the lockdown, have this week, Darren. So what can we do this week that we couldn't last week?
It's been a real test, hasn't it? I think Sunday was the greatest test of how well people behave as regards the letter of the law. To be in your garden with friends and it pissed down and to look at the house going, if only it was tomorrow.
Lots of things we could do before lockdown. And don't get me wrong, I'm desperate to go back into the pub, partially because I left a pound on the pool table and I think I'm next up.
The thing is, though, why do we need a traffic light system for this, right? It's just laws. Surely it's just yes or no, you can or you can't go. Are we going to start doing a traffic light system for all laws from now on? Are we that patronising? Are we 5 years old? We're just going to have to go, murder is in the red category. Having a boiled egg, that's green. Now, saying I could murder a boiled egg, that's amber. You see where I'm going?
The UK last week, when they released the green, amber and red lists, was the most awkward socially thing because they basically said to all these countries, you're on our green list. See, you're on our green list. And then waited for a week while none of them got back in touch. And it was a real Rosa red, Violet's blue. We can go to you, but can you come to... No, OK.
It was so adorable watching the UK put Australia and New Zealand on their green list. I'm like, adorable. Like, I have Ryan Gosling on my green list. He's also not letting people in who have diseases.
One exception, though. They sent out the invites to 12 countries and one said yes.
Portugal.
Portugal are now everyone's favourite country is Portugal now.
People were a bit confused why Portugal were on it, because like the demand for flights to Portugal has gone through the roof, but apparently Portugal just went to school with Matt Hancock.
OK, at the end of that round, the Portugal egg, Catherine and Darren! Now we play a round called Sage Something Nice or Sage Nothing at All. This game involves Felicity and Darren, so if you could make your way to the performance area, please. This round is a stand-up challenge. I launch a wheel of news, and wherever it chooses to stop, one of our performers must step forward and talk about that subject. OK, here we go. Our first topic please. The first topic is health. Who wants to come in that?
Me?
Darren.
I haven't really been taking care of my health recently. I've been eating really bad. And during lockdown, I got into something I'd never tried before. I became addicted. Red wine. Yeah. Never had red wine before. Love it. I am all about the wine. Here's what I've learned, right? Don't read the label. You know, the label on red wine, it's always quite nice and fancy. It's like the smooth, aromatic, infused spices blended together. It sounds good. But here's my problem with the label, right? The serving suggestion. It always makes it sound like you've got a classier evening planned. It's like, oh, this wine goes well with lamb. Lamb? I'm not having lamb. I hope this wine goes well with quavers. I realised I had a bit of a drinking problem during lockdown, especially with the wine. You know when you've got a problem when it comes to the recycle day? And I realised that I had to go out intermittently on the day to put my bottles out, because if I put all my wine bottles in one go, it would sound like a calypso band. I'm all over the place, man, like emotionally and with my feelings. All right, I'll give you an example of what happens to me, right, every now and again. Sometimes I'll be in my house, I live alone, it's just me, right? And I'll be like, ooh, I want some sex. I am in the mood for some sex. And I'll just walk around like, oh, man, I'm horny. I'd love to have some sex, man. And then I'll go downstairs, make myself a sandwich, eat it, and I'll be like, yeah, that's what I needed. I was hungry, not horny. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Darren. OK, that leaves us with Felicity. Let's see what your topic is. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is relationships.
OK. I have been in 3 long-distance relationships. The last one ended, sadly, in marriage. If you haven't been in a long-distance relationship, it's a powerful combination of abstinence and poor Wi-Fi connection. And I don't care who says they're fine with it, it's humiliating masturbating while wearing a headset. Honestly, it's... Just looking at each other, you're like, I think he's going to orgasm or land a plane. I don't know. Please don't tell me you're doing this from an internet cafe. And... You know, everyone's on Zoom now. You know, it used to be Skype. Rest in peace. But when I Skyped, it would always freeze on the ugliest face I could possibly pull. Like, at least with FaceTime, the screen goes a little bit blurry and the words come up, and just nicely it just says, you have poor connectivity. You know? And what that meant was, just do something about your face, yeah? That's why it's called FaceTime. It's time to sort this out, yeah? Not Skype. Skype's like, you're a dog, here's proof. Or I don't know if you ever had this, sometimes it would freeze and then repeat the last half second of action, so your face would be down in the corner going, have it, have it, have it, have it, have it. Someone's looking at you going, giggity, just 2 people being maniacs at each other. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. Well done. Very good. Points there go to Darren. Come on back. Thank you. Our next round is called If This Is the Answer, What Is the Question? On the board are 6 categories. Felicity, which category would you like?
I'd like world news, thank you, Dara.
No problem at all. Your topic is world news. The answer is 5,000 kilograms. What is the question?
Is it how much pasta I think I should cook for 2 people?
Is it how much shit is David Cameron in?
She's still waiting for your response.
Is it how much of a weight off my mind was it when I found out you can't get COVID from being sexy and cool?
Is it how much more bread I ate over lockdown than Gwyneth Paltrow?
Is it, you know Sesame Street?
Yeah.
How much meat do you reckon there is on Big Bird?
Oh, could you imagine the roasting time?
Oh, stop.
I know.
Is it how much does James Corden's ego weigh? Didn't know so many James Corden fans in.
Is it the amount of butter Nigella recommends you put on any vegetable?
Yeah.
What weight of baggage from a single passenger would cause Michael O'Leary to have a spontaneous orgasm?
Is it due to a lie that I was forced to try and prove? How much did I have to attempt to bench press at a Year 9 assembly?
What is the maximum load-bearing capacity of every lift at the Dunkin' Donuts Staff Retirement Village?
If you're telling me the weight of your newborn baby, what would it have to be for me to give a shit?
Is it? To the people of Lilliput, how much did Gulliver's Knob weigh?
Is it what is the silicon content of the average episode of Love Island?
Or is it how much makeup do they need to wear to achieve that natural look?
Is it, if my mum once saw me eat a pistachio, how many pistachios will I get for Christmas?
Is it what is the weight of crumpets George Clooney insisted Warburton's deliver to his house?
Yeah.
In order to do that ad. What the fuck is he doing?
He gives the money to charity, apparently.
But he's a billionaire. He could already give money to charity without looking like a cock.
And the correct answer?
Is it the launch weight of the probe China sent to Mars?
Absolutely right. Thank you very much, Ed. Very good. Yes, the question I was looking for was, what was the weight at launch of the Chinese Mars spacecraft Tianwen-1? This is news on Saturday. The Chinese spacecraft Tianwen-1 successfully landed a rover on the surface of Mars. The probe was initially launched in July before beginning to orbit the red planet in February. So why is it significant?
Well, because China is not on Mars's green list.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is amber. Everything is amber. Yeah, it's great.
The American one is up there, though, still at the same time, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Perseverance up there, yeah.
Are they planning their own series of robot wars without you in it?
Does feel...
This takes the piss. For you not to host Space Robot Wars, you must be fuming.
It would be everything I dreamed of. Me with me. This is the moment I have been building up to my entire life. Space wars with robots!
The only way it could be more you if it was Space Robot Wars and the prize was a potato.
What did you say to him?
Yeah, he went there. He went there. Potato, he said, because I'm Irish.
Oh, it's not. It wasn't because you're Irish. It's way more offensive than that.
Reese, Darren is so into science, if you gave him a potato, he'd use it to make a battery.
Whereas if you gave it to Reese, he'd make it a bong out of it, because he's a cool guy.
I've got a leather jacket that I'm going to grow into.
So they landed on Mars. I think that DPD were actually supposed to deliver it to Venus, but no one was home, so they left it with a neighbour.
Crazy, though, isn't it? That...
A neighbour?
Hey, Dara, are you saying that no one in your area is a neighbour? It's only the people next to you?
I'm just saying. Okay, maybe Venus is on the same street as Mars.
Yeah, almost like a neighbour. Remember the show Neighbours? They weren't just 3 houses, it was a street of houses. And they were neighbours and they became good friends, as we know from the song.
I don't want to be controversial, but I'm going to speak for all women when I say we do not give a shit about going to Mars. Like, when are we going to start spending some money on Venus, like we've asked you 1,000 times? Ever listen. Do you know what I mean? Honestly.
The Russians have gone to Venus, and it is horrible. Horrible.
Is it?
And they,
Is it? Is it, Dara, or is that just your opinion?
Yeah. I'm happy to move on to happy stories. Oh, my God, my favourite happy story, genuine, was in Glasgow. There was a thing during the week that a street in Glasgow all came out to protest the police taking somebody away. It was an immigrant thing, and the street all came out and they all protested. And it was an incredible image, which I presume loads of you saw. Except I came into it late. I missed the development of the story. I only saw the final image, the bit where the two guys were released, but no context at all. And I was watching this clip going, what has happened here? Because it looked like the police just pulled up to a street in Glasgow, went, you're not going to believe what we've got in here. Not until the street, everyone, and then brought out a massive crowd and went, OK, are we all ready? Let's open the doors. And two guys from India walked out and waved. Moving on, because we have to at some stage.
Oh.
Why has this man been in the news this week?
Because he's the mayor of Manchester.
Yes, but why has he been in the news this week?
He's being touted as a future leader of the Labour Party.
By whom?
By himself.
By himself.
He's a mayor, a real job.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a water boy or office fire marshal that you give to someone to make them feel like they're doing something.
He's not Manchester's town crier. They don't bring about it.
What's this? A mayor is just a guy with a sash and a big necklace who bangs on about making things. But it's essentially Miss World for losers.
That picture of Andy Burnham looks like an Andy Burnham doll that the thumbs go in the mouth. Doesn't it? Just looks perfect for his thumb to go in.
But also his hair is woven into the shape of a flat hat. Very, very on-brand and ordering. Well done.
Labour just have no fight in them at the moment.
No.
Oh. I mean, like, in the past, they've had these great, like, campaign slogans. It was like, Labour, for the many, not the few. Labour, it's time for real change. Right now, it might as well be Labour. No worries if not.
Did you know that the red wall is the only political failure you can actually see from space?
I'm not sure which is more depressing. The fact that Labour can't seem to come up with a better policy than simply, we're not the Tories, or the fact that that isn't a good enough policy.
Things were bad for Labour, and then they changed faces, and then they changed who was in charge, and now they're collapsing from within. It's a classic sugar babe scenario.
But unlike the Labor Party, the sugar babes are still performing.
At the end of that round, the polls go to first lead here in the race. Now we come to scenes we'd like to see. So if everyone can make their way over to the performance area, I'll read out this week's topics, and then we'll see what our panellists can come up with. OK, here we go. Our first subject is rejected exam questions.
Is English folk music still relevant? Yes or hey, nonny, nonny, no?
Philosophy. If a man says he sets the bar high at limbo, is he saying he's good or bad?
Given that all mammals rely on a heart, explain Priti Patel.
Modern politics. Question 1. What the fuck?
Welcome to your French oral exam. The swimming pool is closed and the library has burned down. Describe your little day out now.
Who are Hamill and Zuckerberg? 2 marks. For extra marks, explain Carl.
Geography. Locate Copenhagen. Denmark. It on the map.
Teaching practice. Question 1. Who threw that?
What's whiter, a polar bear, a snow leopard, or the Friends reunion?
Maths. If Grandma has £1 million in the bank and I'm her only grandchild, why won't she die?
Translate into French. Piss off, Jack, you can't fish here.
Astrophysics and thermodynamics. Compared to the surface of the sun, how hot is Professor Brian Cox? Am I right?
Maybe.
True or false? A periodontist is a dentist from Nando's.
This is your politician entry exam. Please avoid answering any of these questions.
David has one banana in his pocket. Or is he just pleased to be in an exam question?
Technology. Explain TikTok to your dad. You have 12 hours.
Name an influential Baroque composer. And then if you like them that much, then name 2 of their albums.
Nature. Question 1. What is the best way to attract a mate? Scent, song, or... Oi, Derek!
Nursing qualifications. Have you got the uniform on? Just go! The wards are that way! Just go!
Next topic is unlikely lines from a blockbuster movie.
OK, so let me get this straight. When you change from a car to a transformer, are you saying that the little cup holder becomes your bumhole?
It's Free Willy, starring John Barrowman.
May the force be with you, and also with you. Sorry, Catholic habit.
You've been bitten by a radioactive ant and deck, and now you are Y-I man.
Hello, I'm James Bond. Call me Jimmy. Pap, better out than in. Fancy a bit of rumpy-pumpy?
What do you mean you can't tell I'm Spider-Man? I'm in your bath.
Yeah, just bear in mind he's got that weird building fetish, so if you build it, he will come.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Mate, I don't like anyone when they're angry.
Oh, what's that movie? West Side Story. That reference is 50 years old. Yeah, fresh.
Ah, Mr. Bond, I've been expecting you for about nearly 2 years now.
You're telling me I could save the entire world just by installing updates on my laptop right now? Remind me tomorrow.
The Tyrannosaurus Rex has escaped again. Don't worry, I'll get it. Here, Rexy! Rexy, Rexy!
We're gonna need a bigger boat. Or, ideal world, a smaller shark.
So, Dr. Octopus, meet your ultimate enemy. A Greek family with a barbecue.
Say hello to my little friend. Oh, God, I've told you when you said that, it really turns me off.
Honey, just take the children and take them to your mothers, okay? I'll explain everything later. Just go now! Oh, thank Jesus.
The points go Felicity, Hugh and Reeves. And that's the end of the show. This week's winners are Felicity Ward, Hugh Dennis and Reese James. Commiserations to Darren, Harriott, Captain Bohart and Ed Byrne. Thanks for watching. I'm Darren Green. Good night.
Pool parties, knit parties and school trips from hell. That's Motherland, all series including the latest, streaming now on BBC iPlayer. Diane Morgan is Mandy here on BBC Two next.